Did this one fly under your radar as well? I completely missed it. This is the FREEWARE JXT Simulations Bell 429. It's a fast, capable twin-engined helicopter popular with emergency services and VIP transport. I gather the lineage of this free add-on stretches back to X-Plane, and now it's been updated to work in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and here I'm trying it in MSFS 2024. You can too. It's available for desktop users now on flightsim.to for free, and the link is in this video description. In the video, I'll take you for a quick tour of the 429, I'll start it up, and I'll see how it handles in flight. So, let's fly! And in Belp, Switzerland, here is the Air Zermatt liveried Bell 429 from JXT Simulations, working pretty nicely in MSFS 2024, developed for MSFS 2020, but looking just fine here, I think. The Bell 429, a sleek and modern looking machine. I love that tail rotor, that is correct. That has been oriented like that by the designers to make less noise. So it's an X shape rather than a cross shape, interesting looking thing. So here's our model. You can sort of get right in here and see that they've put considerable effort into making this look good. Even things like labels and stuff in there. And what else can we see here? That's about the resolution of the livery that we're talking about there. I've got the searchlight fitted. We'll look at some of those attachments soon. That's what those materials look like in the engine outlets. Twin-engined helicopter. And let's go and have a look at this rotor hub. Pretty nice looking detail here as well. For a free helicopter, I mean, hello. God, it's... you got to say, great value. Great value. So, I'm not sure how much updating's been done since its days in X-Plane, this model. I gather that's the origin for this model. I never used an X-Plane. I guess some people watching this will be familiar with the long history of this add-on. But it's looking like it's represented just nicely here in MSFS 2024. Let's just fly through the windows and we'll have a look inside. Here's our cockpit modelling. I'll just get right down here. Not a lot of detail on that sort of back panel there, but all these displays are actually graced with considerable amount of custom coding, so I was definitely very impressed with that. So we'll get to that soon. So let's just have a quick look around inside here. Come to which of those controls work and which don't. I've got nothing at all loaded at the moment, so we've got a completely blank interior, and all the doors are animated. Yep. You can see why this is useful for emergency services operation. Huge cavernous doors here to get things in and out. Again, rather Spartan back here, but that's not going to spoil anyone's enjoyment of a FREEWARE helicopter. Very impressive. Very impressive. So that's what the interior looks like, and maybe we'll have a look at some options now. And anyone dating back to MSFS 2020 will remember this kind of system where you add the weight into the areas that you want to make the things visible. So with the medical interior selected here, actually, do you know what? I'll start with the VIP interior. You put a little bit of weight in there, and then I'll just change this back to 0. It'd be nice to have a slider there, MSFS and Asobo. Load, and that didn't work, so we need a bit more of this. I'll put in 1000, load an aircraft, and I'll spawn right in the middle of it. That's what the VIP interior would look like. Okay, so there's that. And let's just get that out now by putting that back down to 0, loading that in. We're back to empty once more. Let's have the medical interior. I'll just put 1,000 pounds again in here. Load aircraft, and there's that. There's our medical interior. I can do things like adding, what can I do? I think, yeah, patient, there we go. I could just put in some weight there as well. I don't know, 160, load, and there we go. Oh dear. You're well wrapped, aren't you, patient? So that's how you can get that in there as well. So you've got a few little options here for the interior. And on the exterior, it's the same sort of thing. So let's go into cargo. I'll see if I can get the, what have we got here? Floats. Don't need floats, I don't think. We've got the searchlight already fitted there. That's fine. Where is the, oh, I can have some weather radars on the front. I didn't find those terribly beautiful, but anyway, you can have a look at those. Where is the, there it is. Just going right past it. So we'll put in two 11 pounds for the winch. And then that goes on there. Lovely. So that's what the winch looks like. I don't know that there's any functionality beyond that, but that looks nice. So you can sort of fit your machine out to suit your purposes. After being mean about those weather radars, why didn't I now put that on? 211. All right, whoops, no, 211. Load in aircraft. And that's what that weather radar looks like there. When I unkindly said it didn't look pretty, maybe it's because I had two loaded over each other. So that's looking normal now. That's good. So with all of that on, we are actually overweight now. So I'll just manually adjust that back till we get to about there. Is that going to take? Oh, now it's taking stuff off. Yes, this is the this is one of the things about using the system. So still a little bit overweight there. I'll just have to cheat and just get that down to there. I suppose I could have done that in here as well, or maybe just reduce the weight in the medical interior to still keep that if I wanted that visually represented. So it's not quite as sleek as the modern kind of tablet style interface that you might find in commercial MSFS 2024 add-ons, but do you know what? You can configure this to look at, you know, the way that you want here, and you should be happy with that for a free product. So to start this up and have a bit of a closer look at some of these controls, a PDF is supplied. It's reasonably straightforward. It won't challenge you too badly, I don't think. Let's just get that view there. That's a bit better. Right, so step one, get the battery on, and then we get some audible alerts. Silence the alarm there.
Check height.
Yep.
Check height. Landing gear. Altitude 100 feet. 150 feet.
So that's all working. Our audible alarms there. Now this GPS stack, we can use this one, or we can scroll. I've got the PMS 50 GTN 750 installed, so that will display like that. So if you prefer that style of GPS, that is open to you if you've got that add-on. So let's get on with this startup. Emergency bus bat feed goes to normal, which is here. In fact, it is. Balance pump and forward transfer pump goes to normal. And all of this row here just goes to normal. So normal, normal, whoops, normal, normal, and normal. So those are just some electrical controls there, including our control and display unit emergency power, which gets that going there. So there's a sort of a line through there to indicate where you're supposed to put them. Easy. Hydraulic normal, yes it is. Lights as required. So we've got a light panel down here. Let's get our anti-coals and our position on for now. We'll get our strobes later maybe. And what does that look like on the outside? Yes, that's going. Good. So to get the engines going, we just come back here. We just check that the throttles are both in idle. They are. So it's a bit like that click twist script that you might be accustomed to on the H125. So we click that into idle. Done. Now we can start up. It's actually very simple. So we ask engine 1 to run, and then we click the starter over to that side, and then it starts up. Maybe I'll just use this display here to get a bit more resolution. Hydraulics comes to life, and you can see the oil pressure and temperature is coming up very rapidly. I do notice that the rotor is currently at 230%. What have I done to cause that to be the case? So a slight bug in that. I don't think that rotor could physically go that fast. Yes, there we go. The helicopter wants to bounce around even with only one engine on. So calling that a small bug, unless you can see what mistake I've made to allow the rotor to go to 230 or 247%. Wow. Wow. Oh well, fast forward, I actually had to end that flight and I just started over on the runway and brought the helicopter back over here to the apron. I have had that startup work perfectly fine the first couple times I tried it, and I don't know what happened that time. I did it one more time and I got that fast rotor speed again. Don't know. So the only part you missed then was me flipping engine 2 onto run and taking the starter over to the right there to start up engine 2, and then that's all going. Notice that our NR is now 100 and not 240, so that's good. So what else can we look at here? The other things that I would have set up maybe would be things like the autopilot, but none of that is functional on this aircraft. So to put this in perspective for you, and in case you are disappointed that a free add-on doesn't have a fully featured autopilot for a helicopter, Cowan Simulation spent, I don't know how long, I'm going to say a year plus, coding HeliSAS and the autopilot systems for the S-76, the HeliSAS working on the rest of their fleet, and that was a massive effort. So this helicopter doesn't have anything going on this autopilot panel. It's got these knobs still here to control the course bugs and heading bugs, but we can't expect that any of this functions yet. It doesn't. The developer JXT Simulation says that if Microsoft adds the autopilot functionality to the simulator in default or natively, then it will be added to this add-on. So at the case, it's not in. So we do see those enunciated there. I do get this enunciation here as well about the cyclic centering. I'm just moving that. I'm pretty sure my cyclic is centered, but it doesn't think that it is. But so whether that's me or the simulator, I'm not quite sure. So let's have a quick flight. I've got the input viewer up there for you. Some strange coding there going on with the throttle. We're not going to concern ourselves with that. I'm going to give us some aft cyclic. I'm going to give us some left cyclic to counteract the translational tendency which exists, and I'm going to give us some left pedal as well. So we'll see how all of that goes, and slowly lift the collective, alive on the skids there, needing quite a lot of collective. How are we looking? Pretty good. Feels like a proper helicopter should, I think. So I've got everything at 1:1, all my sensitivities, and just very small motions get the sort of movement that you're seeing there now. Let's try a little pedal turn here. Yep, didn't control that too well. That would have been a bit easier in VR. Quite sensitive about the pitch and roll axis in the middle of the range there, so you might find a bit of a sensitivity reduction might suit you well, depending on what your controller setup is. And I'll just do one more 90-degree turn. See what it wants to do. If you're watching my input viewer, probably you would have seen the mistake I made there, which was not to anticipate on the cyclic the sort of default position. And we'll just let it settle down. If there is ground effect, it's pretty soft. I think there is ground effect modeled, but it's a very soft ground effect. So if I just bring myself into stable hover here and down on the collective, it's pretty much just go straight down. No ground contact sounds modeled. That's alright. So let's get our landing light on. The landing light is on the collective. Use a hardware controller for that. Let's come down here, a little hover taxi to the runway. No wind modeled today. A bit fast. Alright, so let's get my air tracking on. And get, whoops, not great. Yeah, it's just very sensitive in the middle of the range, but you know, that's just part of helicopter flying. Keep an eye on that. It's quite a soft and floaty feeling, this machine, this simulation. And How are we going here? So up to 50 knots already. Putting a lot of collective here. 5 degrees down on the nose. We've only achieved 75 knots so far. Pulling a lot of collective. The sort of the combined power indicator there is still below 100. There's 100 knots now, so we've sort of got to where we need to go. Let's roll. Oh, there's the air traffic telling me off. Thank you. Let's just follow this river at 100 knots. It feels alright. It feels right. I mean, the weirdest thing for me was that startup not working as one might expect. Although it did work previously, so I really can't explain that. Here we are in Switzerland with our Swiss-registered helicopter, and this is not bad. This is not bad. If the packaged helicopters aren't doing it for you in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, you can have this for free. I'll take it back around to the field and we'll do an approach and see what that's like. Well, here's the field, and I just tried a bit of one engine inoperative. I'll do it one more time. I did it on engine 1 the first time and things did not go well. So if I take out engine 2, it looks like engine 1 is going up to compensate. So that's what I'd expect. Probably in real life, I imagine there might be a little bit more action on the control unit and display unit over there, but to change to show the new circumstances, it looks like I can do a basic simulation of one engine inoperative, so long as it's engine 2 that you've cut. It did not like me cutting engine 1. Alright, so lowering collective and raising our nose, we're still quite fast. 80 knots. Oh yes. Oh, so I think this is almost like an auto rotation situation. That was not great. Right, so I lacked power there with the one engine operation. I would have thought that I was able to get down here safely, but I'm just going to conclude that if you were hoping to do complex one engine inoperative procedures with this free add-on, you might not be quite at that level yet with the way things currently stand. Well, this is what it's all about. There is the Matterhorn, and there is Zermatt way below us, and we've got a helipad over on about our 10 o'clock. I'm just looking over to it now. So we'll try and make an approach for that one. I had to lighten it up even at this altitude. Yes, well, we're at 11,000 feet, aren't we? So even at this altitude, I found that I wasn't getting the performance I needed. So I've just lightened a few hundred pounds, and we'll see how we go. Don't take your helicopter performance for granted. And my conclusion then is that this add-on is not overpowered, which is good. So it encourages good behavior, forward planning, good weight management. So we've got 100 knots on. I discovered that the trim, I'll show you now. I'm going to hold down the force trim and then recenter the stick, and you notice that it's not one-to-one, that change. I'll just release it again. So there's something in the code that's preventing the quick trim from working as you would expect compared to the other MSFS 2024 machines. Right, that was a bit of a dramatic maneuver because I was not really paying attention, but let's get that pad in our view there. And let's see if I can do this at this weight and at this altitude. Be a bit of a challenge, perhaps. And I've got full collective pulled right now, and that is only just getting me there. I'm going to have to just flop it down with the pad. So that's not how you do it in real life. So I'm right at the edge of the performance there. So that's about, I think, about 6,500 pounds loaded up into this machine. And coming in there at 10,000 feet for that pad, I really only just made it. So don't try that in real life. And on further research, the fully loaded Bell 429 should be able to hover in normal conditions, fully loaded, outside of ground effect at 11,000 and something feet. So we're here at 10,100, I think. So we're below our maximum weight for hovering outside of ground effect, and we're below the maximum altitude. So I guess I would conclude then that the free add-on is maybe just a little bit underpowered. So maybe that's something that could be looked at. But with that said, you know, this is incredibly generous of the developers to do this for the community, to give you this very handsome looking machine free of charge for you to go and have some fun with right now. So if you like the Bell 429, it's the only game in town, so you're going to be grabbing this, I predict. It is available through flightsim.to, which means that you might not be able to get it running with your Xbox. Sorry about that, people. And of course, there's no compatibility with FS 2024 career mode or anything like that. So in the meantime, though, lots of fun to be had with this good-looking machine. Thank you, JXT Simulations, for the excellent work you have done here. Another sign of what a great community this is. Well, that's it for this first impressions look at the Bell 429. I hope you'll come for another video real soon. See ya.